Hey, good evening. This is Julie with Our Hope Ministries. I'm Eddie's wife, and I'm going to be doing a study tonight with you about Sarah. Um, I want to first say welcome to our channel. If this is your first time, um, please subscribe and like our content if that's what you like. Hope you learned something today. We study and teach everything right out the Bible. So today we're going to be talking about Sarah. She starts in Genesis 11, verse 29 is when she's first mentioned. And we don't really know too much about her background, her younger years. When she's first mentioned, she's um, she's described as Abraham's wife, and they're a married couple. And she's also described as, I guess, past childbearing age because she is described as a barren woman. In chapter 11, verse 29, in the book of Genesis, right at the beginning of your Bible, it says, Abraham took a wife her name was Sarai at first, because God changes her name later on to Sarah. So I'm just going to say Sarah for now, okay? But she was Sarai at the time. Abraham took his wife Sarah, and she was barren. She did not have a child. When Abraham and her husband and Sarah left their home and relatives behind to go to the land the Lord was to show them, Abraham was 75 years old, and he was about 10 years older than Sarah. So Sarah was about 65. So they were out, they were traveling. They were to travel to Canaan, and to live there. But a famine came, and it was so severe that it forced them to divert to Egypt. And before they go into Egypt, Abraham, in Genesis 12, 11 through 22, it reads, he says to her, he says, listen, I know that you are a beautiful woman. So when the Egyptians see you, they will say, this is his wife, and they will kill me to acquire you, but they will let you live. Please tell them that you are my sister, so that things go well for me, for your sake, and my life will be spared because of you. Now, okay, Abraham and Sarah, they were wealthy. They came from wealth. They were doing very well in the land that they were. And when God called them out, they had to leave their other relatives behind. The only relative they brought with them on their journey was Abraham's nephew, Lot. And so, as they're traveling to Egypt, and Abraham says this to Sarah, I mean, I can only imagine as a wife, how she may have felt. You're telling me to lie about who I am to you. From her point of view, his life would have been spared, yes, but what about her life? I mean, didn't he know that as a sister, she could be bought by anyone? She could be taken or abused. And, that kind of leaves her really exposed. So, we don't really know all the background to what was happening there, but, that would turn out to be a conundrum. We'll just say that. So, when they entered Egypt, the Egyptian palace officials saw that Sarah was very beautiful. This is what the Bible says. So at age 65, she was 65 there. She would have been a very beautiful woman for the Egyptian palace officials to notice her right off the bat. And so Pharaoh also saw her and praised her. And the woman, it says, was taken for the purpose of marriage into Pharaoh's house. because he asked Abraham if that was his wife, and of course he said, no, that's my sister. So she was taken into his harem. And I'm not sure, this could have been a political or I don't want to say maybe political, but it may have just been the custom at the time. Again, Abraham was a very wealthy man, and when he entered into Egypt, he went to Pharaoh's court to announce his arrival, and it could have been a customary thing that Pharaoh would say, "Oh, well, this is your sister. I'll take her as my wife." And in turn, he was given all types of riches. He was given animals, male and female. He was given male and female servants and camels, it says. So he was lavished with luxury in exchange for Sarah. But God, okay? Hang on tight because it's about to change. But God, he intervened certainly for Sarah. And it says that the Lord punished Pharaoh and his household with severe plagues because of Sarah, Abram's wife. And, we don't know what those plagues were, but it's hinted that they were similar to the plagues of Egypt when the Israelites were there. So we can only imagine what kind of plagues they're talking about. They don't go into any detail in the Bible, but when it says plagues, your mind kind of goes everywhere. It could have been frogs, could have been sickness. We don't know. Then Pharaoh called Abram to his court, and he said, "What is this you have done to me? Why did you not tell me that she was your wife? Why did you say she is my sister, so that I took her as my wife? Now then, here is your wife. Take her and go." And so Pharaoh commanded his men concerning him, and they escorted him on his way with his wife and all that they had. Pharaoh didn't take back all of the luxuries that he gave him. He just simply escorted him and Sarah out of the country. They had to leave. Now, you would think that this would not happen again, but it did happen again. And it happened again about 25 years later. And you also have to remember that during this time that Abraham and Sarah both were in a covenant with God. They were to do what he said, and his instructions were to go to the land that he prepared for them. And that's what they were doing. So again, in Genesis 22, we read that Abraham, they're again traveling. They are going through. Let me turn there real quick so we can read that.
Where is it?
Genesis 20 and 2.
Oh, okay.
It says, "Now Abraham journeyed from there toward the Negev, the south country, and settled between Kadesh and Shur. Then he lived temporarily in Gerar. Abraham said again of Sarah, his wife, 'She is my sister.' So that the King Abimelech, don't make me say that again, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah into his harem." So he took her as his wife. Again, another king, another harem, another household. But God came to Abimelech in a dream during the night and said, "Behold, you are a dead man because of the woman whom you have taken as your wife, for she is another man's wife." Now Abimelech had not yet come near her, so he said, "Lord, will you kill a people who are righteous and innocent and blameless? Did Abraham not tell me she is my sister?" And she herself said, "He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocence of my hands, I have done this." And then God said to him in the dream, "Yes, I know you did this in the integrity of your heart, for it was I who kept you back and spared you from sinning against me. Therefore, I did not give you an opportunity to touch her." So thank goodness, she's been spared again. God intervened, and I find this kind of interesting that God came to both of these kings, King Pharaoh and King Abimelech, and he was against them. He was telling them, he was sending the plagues. He was telling them they've done wrong. But in their eyes, they were kind of innocent because they were tricked. I mean, Abraham said it was his sister, and Sarah agreed. So can't really kind of blame the people, right?
Right.
Now, an interesting thing too here I want to note is that, why Abraham felt justified to referring to Sarah as his sister. And if you go to Genesis 20:11 through 13, it kind of tells you why. And this is pretty interesting to me. I did not know this. It says that Abraham, the king Abimelech said to Abraham, "What have you encountered or seen in our customs that you have done this unjust thing?" Basically, why did you do that? Why did you lie? And Abraham said, "Because I thought, surely there is no fear or reverence of God in this place, and they will kill me because of my wife. Besides, she is actually my half-sister. She is the daughter of my father Terah, but not of my mother, and she became my wife." So in Abraham's mind, she's his half-sister. So, well, he told basically a half-truth. He really didn't tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help him God, right? He told a half-truth there. So I thought that was interesting. I did not know that. And interestingly enough, too, is that one of the plagues of the second king, the king Abimelech, one of the plagues that hit his household, the royal household women became barren, just like Sarah was.
Wow, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. So the king and that king and Abraham were, I think, somewhat friends. I think it was a not a political thing, but just he didn't come on to him like he didn't say things to him like Pharaoh did. Pharaoh was very to the point and then kicked him out of his country. This king says, they kind of became friends, and he said, "Listen, look what you've done. The women in my household are now barren because of you." And Abraham pleaded to the Lord, and the Lord reversed the plague, and they became fertile again. So the king allowed Abraham to live anywhere he desired in the land. So he didn't kick him out of his country. He said, "You can pick a spot anywhere you desire in my land, and you can stay there." So that was pretty cool. But, here we go. 2 times she's been sold because both times a wealthy Abraham, both times was given, silver. He was given donkeys, female and male. He was given cattle. I mean, he was given camels. He was given all of these luxury items at that time. And he kept them all too. I mean, he wasn't made to give them back.
That's interesting.
And God never said anything to him about him not telling the whole truth.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
So in Genesis 17:15, Sarai and Abram, their names changed. Her name changed from Sarai, which meant my princess, to Sarah, which means princess. And interestingly enough, this is another fun fact. She is the only female in the Bible that God changed the name. The only female. There's a lot of men whose names were changed in the Bible that God changed. Saul to Paul, and let's see, Simon became Peter. There's many others. She's the only female. So what's in a name? A lot more than many of us realize. Think about Sarai, for instance. She was a barren woman who probably had a poor self-image because in biblical society, so much of a woman's worth depended on her ability to bear children. She was an old woman, and biologically, she had no hope of ever being able to conceive and deliver a baby. But God changed her name. Sarah means princess. So when Abraham or anyone else calls Sarah by her new name, Sarah, they were helping her change her image of herself. They were calling her beautiful and valuable, a king's daughter. And they were speaking forth the image of the mother God had destined her to be. As a result, she must have begun to see herself differently. She must have felt faith rising in her heart. She must have begun to be sure God would keep his word to her. Because remember, God had his covenant with Sarah and Abraham, and they were to have a child. They did have a child in very old age. She was 99 when she became pregnant with Isaac. And in Genesis 17:18, it says that. It says, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people will come from her. And that's when she's 99 years old. She lived to be 127 years old. And her faith is mentioned even in the New Testament. In Hebrew 11:11, it reads, by faith, even Sarah herself received the ability to conceive a child, even when she was long past the normal age for it, because she considered him who had given her the promise to be reliable and true. And so that's all I have for you on Sarah for now. We may do another story on her because there's so much more to her story. I thought it was very interesting, her being the half sister of Abraham, her being the only female to have her name changed. The fact that the Second King's royal household was plagued with the women being barren, which she was. These are cool little facts, and I just wanted to share those with you tonight. Comment. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something like I did, and we will see you Saturday at 11. Good night.
Good job, babe.